The Supreme Court refuses to modify its earlier order on Aadhaar, refers a plea by the centre and 5 regulators to a larger bench. The unique ID can only be applied for PDS, LPG and Kerosene subsidy, and even there it's not mandatory. 2013 land bill is not causing any discomfort.
There has been no discomfort. We are working comfortably on this. Everyone's going down a very happy path. I don't really believe that we need to give this kind of hype.
No land acquisition problems in Rajasthan, says the Chief Minister Vasundhara Raje in her first television interview after taking charge in 2013. She says not averse to privatization of state-run companies, as a mere hike in the FRBM limit will not solve the discom crisis, as the state is burdened with a debt of a whopping 80,000 crores.
The rupee marks the 4th sharpest gain in 2015, appreciates rapidly, ending the day below 65 against the dollar. Bulls extend their winning streak on Dalal Street for the 6th straight day.
Stock markets across US and Europe bear some of the gains, even as a fall in US production and inventories pushes Brent near $53 a barrel.
It's the biggest Indian IPO in 3 years. Cafe Coffee Day is all set for its Dalal Street debut. Hopes to raise over 1,000 crore rupees and eyes $1 billion valuation.
The National Green Tribunal cracks down on trucks entering New Delhi, slaps an environmental tax of up to 1,000 rupees besides the toll tax to fight the air pollution.
The Make in India drive excites US automaker Tesla. Sources say the company could assemble its cars and powertrain components in India. That's a CNBC TV 18 exclusive.
Also on the show tonight, the scooters that have become a fashion statement. Buckle up for a test drive on the all-new Vespa SXL.
Well, it's a disaster that has now become a routine every single year. Farmers in the Marathwada region of Maharashtra are scrambling for water, even though the recent rains have not managed to ease the pain. Starting today, CNBC TV 18 will bring you ground reports on the plight of farmers. The focus today will be on the cotton farmers. That's coming up for you on our special show. Good evening. Thanks very much for joining us on India Business Hour. Hi, Nandara.
Hi, Shri. You had a long day back from Jaipur after interviewing the Chief Minister.
Well, that is right. It has been a long day, and we'll get you that exclusive interview in just a bit. But let's go straight down. As far as the Aadhaar imbroglio is concerned, it continues to be stuck in the legal quagmire. That is our top story on India Business Hour. But before that, a quick check of the day's trading action. The bulls continue to be in control. The rally is on, ending the day for the 6th straight day with gains today for our markets. The Nifty gaining about 24 points, inching closer to 8,200. The index ended at the high point of the day. The Sensex put on about 100 points, reconquering the 27,000 mark. That was the action on Dalal Street. But on to Mint Street, where the rupee has marked the 4th sharpest rally so far this year. Sustained dollar sales by banks and exporters, pushing the rupee to its highest level in over a month. The currency ended the day at 64.98 to the dollar, so sharp appreciation there for the rupee. But now on to the big story tonight. It's being dubbed as the debate between privacy and easy access to welfare schemes. The Supreme Court today refusing to modify its earlier order, which had limited the scope and usage of the Aadhaar card. Instead, the case has now been referred to a constitutional bench, which will rule on the question of privacy. So as things stand, the Aadhaar card can only be used for PDS, LPG and Kerosene subsidy, and even there it is not mandatory. Ashmit joins us with all the courtroom action. Ashmit, the Supreme Court clearly did not buy the Attorney General's argument that a poor man starving would not think twice about privacy if Aadhaar could get him a meal.
So that's interesting that you point out that was one of the key arguments about the poor man and his right to privacy vis-a-vis, of course, the benefits that are flowing to him. Interestingly, there's also an intervention application that has been filed by a widow who's raised the same question on the right to waive off the right to privacy if it means accessing all the schemes and the benefits to be availed under various schemes that are offered. Of course, just to quickly take our viewers through the arguments, of course, the petitioners, one of the primary arguments that they've raised is that in this entire Aadhaar scene, we have the collection question of data being harvested, data being collected by non-governmental agencies. The government, of course, has sought to reply to that by arguing that the fears appear to be misplaced and that these few petitioners, handful of petitioners, are hijacking various government schemes designed for crores of people. The petitioners have also argued before the Apex Court that as of now there's very little government oversight. Again, the government responds to that by saying that the benefits that will be offered to crores of people will far outweigh these concerns that have been expressed. Another concern that the petitioners have put forth is that as of now, the information that is collected, the database that will be generated will be prone to leakages, and of course the government here has rebutted by saying that these fears are misplaced, that information, if any, that has to be shared will be done only with authorities, only under court orders, and of course the final concern that petitioners have raised is that there is no legal or administrative backing to Aadhaar at this point. The government's answer to that is very short and crisp, is that Aadhaar as of now is designed to be voluntary in nature and hence requires no legal backing. And the government, importantly, is not alone in rebutting these arguments. We also have 5 regulators: RBI, SEBI, PFRDA, IRDA. We also have the telecom regulator, TRAI, and along with them we also have states such as Gujarat, Himachal, Jharkhand who've come out in support of the government. But clearly the Supreme Court as of now maintaining deathly silence on the big question on the application of Aadhaar, maintaining silence on that and referring it to a larger bench. So clearly, as of now, the question mark still remains on the application of Aadhaar, and this will continue to be a litigious issue as it goes forward with the constitutional bench, which will consist of a minimum of 5 judges. So clearly, we are some time away from getting some judicial clarity in terms of the road ahead as far as Aadhaar is concerned. Back to you.
Until then, the Supreme Court has decided not to modify that 2-month-old order. Thanks, Rashmi, for joining us with that story. Now, let's get to expert voices. Here's one petitioner, CNBC TV 18's Menika Doshi spoke with Rahul Narayan, the lawyer for a group of petitioners against the usage of Aadhaar. He listed out the concerns he had as far as his unique ID card goes.
Actually, the thing was, an interim order was passed in August when the matter was referred to a larger bench. And the court said in the interim, they laid down various conditions which the government was required to follow. Now, what happened, various agencies and state governments wanted to modify that order, have that altered, which is why they filed a series of applications. So, many of the legal issues before the court were, whether they could look at this issue at all now that a larger bench was going to be seized of the matter, etc. Unless it is extremely urgent, they said that they decided not to do so. So eventually, the court said that all of these applications will be listed along with the main matter when it is taken up by the larger bench, the constitution bench of 5 judges or whatever, whenever that is set up by the Chief Justice.
The primary objections have been on the grounds of privacy, on the grounds of any lack of any explicit protection of privacy and security of data. So if you could quickly articulate what you hope that the Supreme Court constitutional bench will look at when actually determining this matter in some degree of finality.
See, there are privacy is one of the things in which we have challenged this. There are many things on which we have challenged this. I mean, we can't even call it an enactment because it is not an enactment. We challenge the Aadhaar scheme. There are many things. Privacy and security, of course, are primarily amongst them. Now, the fact remains, for example, that you are collecting a whole lot of data. One authority is collecting a whole lot of data. That same authority is going to store a whole lot of data, and eventually, hopefully, they will decide to discard some of that data too. All of this is at this point completely unregulated. Nobody knows anything what is really going on. The people who took details while the Aadhaar cards were Aadhaar numbers were being distributed. Who are these people? They were private contractors. Who are the agency who's going to manage this great central database? And in this day and age where everything seems to be susceptible to hacking, to have everyone's personal details stored in this giant database seems to be an enormously dangerous activity, I think, isn't it? Imagine if you have the power to be able to find out where 1.2 billion people, what they're doing, where they're going.
Okay, fair enough. Have we heard, we were expecting to hear from the Supreme Court
one
today.
more, I'm sorry to interrupt you. There's one more thing which I thought I must bring to your notice. You see, the thing is that right now there are so many different authorities. There are different packets of information which are with different authorities. For example, when I go to Supreme Court, I have to enter by a certain card, which obviously records that I am in Supreme Court on that day. If I go to the airport and there is a certain system there, that's all fine. The idea is if you put all of this in a central place where it is accessible to somebody, that is an enormous breach of personal privacy, and it is again, it brings the dangers of a surveillance state. And right now, all we have is the government saying we don't want to be a surveillance state. But where is what is the authority which stops such a thing from happening?
So that's one side of the argument, a case being made against Aadhaar. Menka also spoke with Senior Counsel Harish Salve. He is representing the state of Gujarat, and he is pro-Aadhaar, saying it's disastrous how people are making a big issue about privacy.
My views on this are very clear. I think the government has put everybody in a bit of a spot by raising the issue of whether there is a right to privacy and getting it stuck in the larger constitutional question. This is an open and shut case, which, if it was argued on the premise that even if there is a right to privacy, there is no violation by collecting the basic data relating to private human beings. And if the unnecessary cloud sought to be created on the security aspect had been removed by the government effectively, I don't think the case would have really sort of taken this kind of turn. But anyway, we are where we are.
Mr. Salve, just to sort of stick with the current issues before I talk to you about the privacy matter, it will now be referred to a larger bench, from which I understand will be the constitutional bench, which is yet to be set up, from what I understand.
No. The first issue to be decided is there a right to privacy? Now, that's the larger issue to be gone into, which, is a metaphysical constitutional issue.
Constitutional issue, sir?
Yeah, and according to me, it's a non-issue because, frankly, in 2015 to say your right to personal liberty doesn't include the right to privacy is a complete constitutional anachronism. But anyway, that's where we are.
Unfortunately, Mr. Salve, it does seem those who oppose the mandatory use of Aadhaar without sufficient privacy and security safeguards are concerned about the lack of an explicit right to privacy in the Constitution or any overarching privacy law. So what's the way out of this?
There are so many rights which the Supreme Court has read into the Constitution. The right to privacy is one of them. I don't think the fact that there is no express right gives rise to any concern in any person superficially familiar with constitutional law. I have appeared in this case for the Delhi government, and I personally would think it's a charitable use of language to call the challenge a nonsense. But anyway, that's where we are.
But Mr. Salve,
if once you go into the details of how the data is collected and how the data is maintained, I don't think there is any reason to suspect that there will be some sort of a looming big brother who is watching everywhere you go and checking at everything you do and stuff like that.
So that's where things currently stand. The Supreme Court sticking to its position that the Aadhaar card cannot be made mandatory to avail of government services. And of course, this matter has now moved to a constitutional bench of the Supreme Court, so we haven't heard the last of it. But this is the question that I was asking the Minister of State for Finance and other government officials as well. Why has the government not moved to provide constitutional validity, which is what the UPA was hoping to do when they decided to move the constitutional bill to give sanctity to the Aadhaar? That has been buried by this government, even though this government makes Aadhaar very, very crucial as far as its DBT offering is concerned, its expenditure reforms are concerned. It is part of the jam trinity that this government is hoping to push forward in order to curb and to collectivize subsidies being given out to the citizens. So it is going to be crucial now for the government to decide what it wants to do as far as providing legal sanctity and constitutional validity to the Aadhaar card. But let's move on to the other big CNBC TV 18 exclusive tonight. She hasn't spoken to the English media since taking charge as the Chief Minister for Rajasthan since 2013, but under Vasundhara Raje, the state has been climbing up the ladder and was recently ranked number 6 in the ease of doing business rankings put out by the DIPP and the World Bank. Breaking her silence today, Raje spoke to me on a raft of reforms undertaken by her state. She also made her pitch on why Rajasthan is an attractive investment destination. This in the context of just about every state government, from Punjab to West Bengal to Maharashtra, Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, going after the same set of investors. So my question to Vasundhara Raje was, what is going to be Rajasthan's differentiator? What is going to be Rajasthan's sales pitch to investors as they put together Resurgent Rajasthan, which is the second time that they're hosting that event under Vasundhara Raje. The first was in her previous term, and this one is the first in the current term. I understand also that there is a proposal at this point in time and you're evaluating it and assessing the possibility of a refinery. A report was expected this month. Where do things currently stand on that? Because that has been a concern that domestic value add isn't really happening, and perhaps this would be the best way.
Well, I think that at the moment in time there's a serious discussion going on with the ministry, with the company concerned, and with us. This meeting took place only about, I think it was 2 weeks ago. I don't expect a complete result from this because it's going to be renegotiated to some extent, because Rajasthan requires to get the best out of it. So does the company. And we need to work together to be able to find the best solution for this. I think we are pretty much well on our way, and when we are ready, we'll make the announcement.
Okay, but where would things currently stand as far as this proposal is concerned? Is it stuck, perhaps?
No, stuck, not at all.
Not because of tax incentives or or any uncertainty on that front.
No, there is none. But we are naturally looking to find the best for Rajasthan, as they are looking to find the best for their company. But there is no such thing as being stuck on any of the issues. I think, in fact, the talks are proceeding very smoothly, and we should be able to come to conclusions soon.
Let me ask you about land. Tamil Nadu, incidentally, has been the first state government to actually deviate from the central law, and it got presidential assent as early as January. You were attempting to do very much the same, but it didn't go down that road. How soon can we expect your government to seek presidential assent to deviate from the central law? Because this is a matter under consideration.
We don't have a problem with land reform. We never did, because we always give back 25% of what they call developed land back to our people. And in fact, in the solar field, we've done something quite new. Our investors are actually now working directly with the farmers. So they can have a joint venture with the farmers as they wish. The farmer is happy or is in a position to make his own arrangement or agreement with the people who are coming to invest. Farmers, the other proposal is that we said the farmers can make a company and then work with it. So there are lots of proposals with them, and there is
the 2013 land bill is not causing any discomfort.
There has been no discomfort. We are working comfortably on this. Everyone's going down a very happy path. I don't really believe that we need to give this kind of hype. And as far as we're concerned, government itself has huge tracts of land across the state, which we are consolidating at the moment. We've already picked up, we've already consolidated 6,000 hectares of land, and I think we're looking at something like 10,000. It will go up to 10,000. 4,000 more will happen before the resurgent Rajasthan.
How soon can we expect a resolution as far as the status, the DISCOMs are concerned, to address DISCOM debt, for instance? And also, I understand that your government is working to move towards privatization or divestiture, both on the generation side as well as the distribution side of the SEBs. What can you share with us on the roadmap ahead as far as the DISCOMs?
We had legacy issues, definitely, and there were some problems which we definitely believe that need to be ironed out quickly. Naturally, we will have to do some things like upgrading. There will be some things like AT&C losses. All of these we are working on. We're also looking at 2 or 3 districts which could work in a public-private partnership.
Right.
With
Bikaner, for instance, I understand
with different companies. So we're in the process of working that out. I believe even in the generation area, we are talking with various companies. Let's see what the result of this is going to be.
Do you believe that a mere flexibility as far as the FRBM limit is concerned will really allow you to ride up this problem?
It's not just one thing. There will have to be lots of small things which will be going as part of the package. Some things that we'll be doing, some things that they'll be doing. And obviously, it is incumbent upon both of us to see that we put across a package which is going to be able to help revive not just the fortunes of the state, but also make us contributors to the economy of the country.
Is there any ideological debate on whether divestiture is a good idea or bad idea, or privatization is a good idea, or off the table?
There have been some thinking, so to say, over all these periods of time. But I think the time has come for all of us to look at these things a little bit more closely and to understand benefits that might be accruing to us, which perhaps we are not even looking at. We are certainly looking, as you said, whether it's divestment, we're certainly looking at all of these things to see how we can make things easier for everybody in Rajasthan. But that doesn't mean that we're going to take away from one and give it to the natural corollary to this is that somebody will lose a job. Well, it's not naturally that. I think that there are a lot of other ways of looking at resettling and working with divestment, which would be for the benefit of the state. I'm certainly looking at it for the moment.
Okay. Yeah. Giving up majority control.
Yes, why not?
So full privatization, you're not averse to that?
No, I would keep a certain amount within the company, I'm sure. But I'm not averse to giving up, let's say, majority control, let's say.
Okay. Is there a list that's been identified in terms of the kinds of businesses that the government may want to stay invested in and the kinds of businesses that government considers non-core?
No, I think things like tourism, things like power now, as we're talking about so many things. There are some areas where it's imperative that these things happen. There are some areas in which we can look at it further because, as you always know, that states are, it's important to be able to create resource. To be able to create the resource, to create more resource. It's very important to be able to look at new ways of doing this.
So the focus is clearly on revenue generation as far as you're concerned.
I'm not looking at saying no to anything or yes to everything. I'm looking at a happy mix. And I need to get convinced, that's all.
Okay.
I think the time has come for us to sit with investments and investors to see what are the good things that can come out of this to the state. The benefits that accrue to the state are going to make the difference to us.
But how hard is it getting for state governments like yours to try and draw in investors? Because as I said, just about every state government today is doing a roadshow and you're all going after the same investors, whether it's Telangana, the state of Andhra Pradesh, the state of West Bengal, Punjab. You're all trying to attract the same pieces of the pie, if I could, call it that. How hard is it really getting at this point in time? And has it moved beyond tax incentives, which was really the old model, the Uttarakhand model, which was, provide tax incentive, tax sweeteners and bring industry in?
Well, if you're an industrialist, you want to go where the best is being offered, naturally. So all those things will make a difference in their minds as to where they should go. But then there are other things that make a difference. For example, there are people who have enjoyed Rajasthan, who've lived in Rajasthan and want to come back to Rajasthan. So there's that psychology. There's also those people who believe that the kind of industry that they're setting up is going to be able to, so for example, defense industry, in time to come when they come in here. First of all, there's that huge border we have, then also the fact that there are huge installations of army where people would be perhaps able to test where they wouldn't be able to do it in Andhra or any other place.
So is defense going to be a key focus area for you?
I believe so. I believe defense is a very interesting and important area for us, and we've been working at it since the time it was announced.
And you can catch the entire conversation with the Rajasthan Chief Minister over the weekend. You can also catch it on our YouTube channel. We just heard what Vasundhara Raje was talking about discoms and debt. So the Union Power Minister Piyush Goyal said the centre is on the verge of announcing new mechanisms that would help power discom pass on most of the losses to state governments.
Discom losses cannot be allowed to continue and be parked in a discom without responsibility of the concerned state. An all-encompassing framework in consultation with the states, with their acceptance and their cooperation has been drawn up. Final stages of discussions and consultations to further improve the framework is underway.
That's the Power Minister, so the wait for the discom package continues. There is going to be a crucial meeting of the state of Tamil Nadu with the Power Ministry at the centre this week, and perhaps we are going to see the government, along with state governments, moving further as far as announcing that package is concerned. But moving on, it's been brewing for nearly 2 years, and Cafe Coffee Day Enterprises, which owns the Cafe Coffee Day chain, is now all set to serve the Lal Street with its 1,150 crore rupee IPO. Priya Sheth and Kritika Saxena get you that.
That line is exactly what Cafe Coffee Day hopes will become reality when it steps onto the Lal Street next week with what could be the largest IPO in 3 years. Priced at between 316 to 328 rupees a share, this 1,150 crore rupee IPO is set to open on the 14th of October. And Coffee Day Enterprises has big plans for spending the money.
500 crore will go to pay back the debt. We got 1,000 crore debt. We are putting 125 crore to clear the debt of the coffee business and 290 crore to expand the coffee business for next 18 months.
Clearly, the company is confident it will successfully tempt retail and institutional investors to take a sip. After all, nearly half of its 2,500 crore rupee revenues in FY15 came from its coffee business.
Key concern that the street has is on profitability, and that's primarily because at a net level the company is facing losses. The management is confident that it will turn profitable, but they aren't giving a time frame for the same.
As funding requirements go, Coffee Day Enterprises' non-coffee business does not need any money at the moment. But Siddhartha says the option to divest stake in companies like Mindtree and Sikal Logistics are available should the need arise.
I'm not interested in selling anything for next 2-3 years. Mindtree has given me more than 40% IRR for the last 16 years. If there is any opportunity to grow the coffee business, we are short of money, we'll take a right call what is good for the business.
Experts are willing to see how the street savors this IPO, since a success could set the stage for more such issues.
The overall market sentiments and the volatility does have an impact, but now it seems like that the markets are stabilizing, and once the market stabilizes, we'll see a continuous flow of IPOs coming into the market.
However, Siddhartha is confident his IPO will be a roaring success, given how the private equity firms that are already invested in Coffee Day enterprises are not looking at an exit in the short term. In Mumbai with Priya Sheth, Kritika Saxena.
Well, that's Cafe Coffee Day's plans for the IPO. It's opening on the 14th of October. US auto major Tesla may be soon driving into India. Sources say the company is exploring options to set up its first ever assembly unit in India. And that's not all. The Tesla Model 3 may hit the Indian roads soon too. Kritika Saxena joining us with that exclusive story. Kritika, what are you picking up?
Absolutely. There were multiple discussions with respect to renewable energy and using Tesla's power wall for India's renewable energy needs, so to speak. But what we understand from our sources right now is that Tesla is also looking at the possibility of buying into the whole Make in India pitch. Now, a manufacturing unit is right now not on the cards, but I do understand that Elon Musk is considering the possibilities of looking at an assembly unit in India. Now, let me break this up for you. Essentially, they're looking at launching the Tesla Model 3 in India. Now, that is a comparatively more affordable car that they have in their entire portfolio. So that's about $30,000 to $40,000 of a pricing that they're looking at, roughly, if at all they look at launching it in India. So what they want to do is that they want to set up an assembly unit in India, which will be the gateway for the entire Asia market. They're already present in China and Japan, so they will be catering to the entire Asia market from India, which is a significant move from an India point of view. But over and above that, what we understand is that there is only one assembly unit in Netherlands which focuses on Europe. So they could possibly look at expanding that and manufacturing other products or assembling other products through that. We also understand that they're looking at a timeline of roughly 2016, 2017. So there's no telling exactly when this would happen, but the rough timeline is before mid-2017. So possibly, if everything goes as per plan, there are some issues with respect to import duty, regulatory uncertainties with respect to electric car vehicles in India, given the fact that there's only one electric car that is from Mahindra's stable that has made its way on Indian roads. A lot of concern regarding the overall industry in India as a whole. But yes, if things go as per plan, we could probably have a Tesla assembly unit and most likely a Tesla car driving around an Indian road soon.
All right, Kritika, thanks very much for joining us with the latest details there on the possibility of Tesla looking at assembling in India. But on to the raging debate on controlling pollution in the National Capital Region. The NGT, that's the National Green Tribunal, has launched a fresh salvo to try and clean the air of the world's most polluted city, that's Delhi. The Environment Watchdog has today directed all trucks entering the city to pay an environmental compensation charge in addition to the toll tax. Remember, you saw Sunitha Narayan of the Centre for Science and Environment right here on India Business Hour saying that that is what they were hoping the NGT would rule, and that has been the order from the NGT today. And this extra levy will vary from about 500 to 1,000 rupees. Incidentally, this is lower than the 1,200 rupee surcharge suggested by senior advocate as well as amicus curiae in the Supreme Court's Green Bench, Harish Salve. The matter is being taken up by the Supreme Court tomorrow. The NGT today has also banned trucks from driving through Delhi unless the national capital is their final destination, else all such trucks will have to be diverted via Panipat. So the NGT coming down hard, but we will have to see what the Supreme Court decides. The Supreme Court has been going along with what the NGT has been suggesting so far, so we will of course keep a track of this story. Now, just yesterday, Sunitha Narayan of the Centre for Science and Environment called major auto companies in India dinosaurs and blamed them for the lack of emission curbs. That has sparked a war of words. A special report is coming up. But here's more auto news. It's not just Volkswagen cars in Europe and America. The German automaker has also issued a letter to all its dealers in India asking them to hold on to deliveries of its hatchback Polo in the country. And while the problem Volkswagen claims is not the same as the emission software malfunction in Europe and the US, the car maker has refrained from mentioning what exactly has led to an advisory of this sort to be issued to its dealers. All that has been said in a statement released to the media is that there are concerns of a technical glitch in a limited number of cars produced during a specific production period, and all other cars are completely safe. This is not exactly news that Volkswagen needed, certainly not at this point in time.